you're like, okay, I have a chatty class. Let's channel that into how can I take that and harness it and move it towards a direction of learning and use it to your advantage. I'm Catherine Barker, and today we're going to be talking all about the chatty class. Chattiness is totally normal. I feel like it just happens, and there are some really helpful tips that I want to give you to really be able to navigate through when your class kind of that chattiness really starts to kind of escalate. So before we even dive into the different tips I have for your chatty class, let's just start with checking in with ourselves. So sometimes I have found where I will kind of expect my kids to sit longer than they really can. It's just a lot to ask a 5-year-old to sit there and just listen actively, right? I've done this more times than I count, and I have to always go back and be like, that's right, they're 5. I think I'm asking a little too much right now. So we want to make sure that we're managing our expectations and that they're appropriate for our kiddos. Okay, so I have 5 tips and tricks for you to use in your classroom when you kind of encounter and realizing your class is just super chatty, and you just kind of need some new tools in your toolkit just to kind of pull out and help you handle the chattiness. Okay, so first thing I like to think of is set boundaries. What I mean by boundaries is explaining to them, okay, so during, say, carpet time, right? For us, it's a whole group lesson time. And so Mrs. Barker is talking right now. So right now is your turn to listen. When we go to our small groups and center time, that's your time to turn and talk to your friends. So right now we're listening. And later on, you'll be able to chat with your friends. Or you would say at recess time is a time that we can talk with our friend. So just explaining to students that right now is not the time, but you will get to chat later, because it's not fun for kiddos to feel like, oh gosh, I have to be quiet for how long, right? We want to frame it for them to help them understand, not now, hold off, later you'll be able to chat with your friends. So my second tip is really when you have that chatty class, try to start incorporating more talking in your classroom, right? Chattiness really isn't, I know it can kind of feel like it's a bad thing and they're talking over you, but the truth is our kids' vocabulary is just exploding. It's a good thing, right? We want them to talk. They actually learn more through talking and through communicating, especially our young kids. So we really want to, I like to think of it as like channeling. You're like, okay, I have a chatty class. Let's channel that into how can I take that and harness it and move it towards a direction of learning and use it to your advantage. Here are my kind of 3 go-to activities that I like to use when I have a really chatty class, and I try to use it to my advantage, right? And use it and channel their chattiness to be more towards learning. But before I jump into that, if you find that not only are you dealing with a chatty class, but you also have students interrupting you a lot, be sure to watch my video on the interrupting class, or or when you have a student that is constantly interrupting. I have some really good strategies for you to use for those interrupting kiddos. So here are just a handful of activities that you can use in your classroom. They're super simple, super easy to implement. The first one is just basic think, pair, share. Say maybe you're brainstorming, writing about their favorite season of the year. So I want you to think, and you would say, think, what's my favorite season of the year? You want to sit, right, and have everybody think. Give them like 10 seconds, especially for those, some kiddos need that extra time. And then you'll say, okay, turn to your partner and share. My favorite season is, say your favorite season, because, and then model it. So I'd say, my favorite season is summer because I love the sunshine and I love to go swimming, right? So model it for them, have them all chat, have them talk, and then have them raise their hands and share, right? Think, pair, share. It's very basic, but it really can, if you just start incorporating more and more in your lessons, it just helps get that chattiness out. They're able to talk to their neighbor, get it out, and it's on topic, right? It's about what we're learning at the time. Another really basic thing to introduce, if you're not doing already, is like show and tell. So maybe you do every Friday, You pick if you want to do the whole class, go for it. You could also just pick maybe 1 or 2 students to show and tell each Friday, or maybe you have however you want to do it. Show and tell is really a great way for kiddos to get up, they're able to talk about their item, and then all the kiddos can ask questions about it. So it makes it fun because it can bring their interest in. It helps them develop and practice those communication skills, and it helps that chattiness and gets it out. Something that I really love to do is over like when we would come back from a break, or say like a weekend or a long weekend, and you could do this every week if you wanted. I would have all the kids sit in a circle. We'd sit on the carpet and we'd sit in a circle, and I would have a stuffed animal, and I would say, okay, whoever had a little cow, and I called him Moo Moo, and I'd say, whoever's holding Moo Moo, it's their turn to talk. And we're going to talk about what you did over spring break, or whatever it was, or one thing that you ate this weekend, or something like that. You can do a topic, or you can make it super broad, super specific, whatever you want. And then I would go first and say, this weekend I did da 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 da. And then I would pass the cow, and then it would go around, and all the kiddos would get to share. And it can take longer, so you might have to, just know you might want to give a little bit of time for this, but it does help kiddos just kind of express and share with their classmates what's going on. That's a really just kind of a fun little quick thing you could do. Another thing you can do is just in the morning, during like your morning meeting time, you can just have kiddos turn to their shoulder partner and pick a topic. You can like pull a little topic out and say, okay, share with your friend your favorite color and why, or whatever it is. So just kind of create those opportunities for them to get the talk out. Another tip I like to use is use lots of those call and responses. Make sure you're switching up your call and responses, because they can kind of get old and kind of get boring. So I would like to throw in new ones every like a couple months or so. And then don't forget to offer plenty of brain breaks. So we want to think our expectations. Okay, sometimes like they're sitting a long time. So you can kind of tell when they're fidgeting, they're kind of blah, blah, turn to their neighbor and you're like, okay, maybe we need to stop what we're doing, take a quick brain break. And I would stand up and run in place and do 5 jumping jacks. You could do count exercises to 50, whatever it is. Just get the blood flowing, right? And then have them sit back down. Sometimes they just need to get up and move. If you want, you could also throw on like songs, because I think that helps get the talk out, right? They're singing to the song. So sing along. Maybe somewhere they're interacting with a friend. Like a great one is like Dr. Jean's Hello Neighbor, where they turn, hello neighbor, how are you? I think it's actually hello friend, but they turn and say hi to their friend. So just try to incorporate more and more learning activities that really have kind of like a foundation in talking. So just remember, talking isn't a bad thing. It's really, we want to show them there's a time and place to talk. Our students' vocabulary really is expanding. It's really exploding at this time. They're just like sponges soaking everything up, and they just want to share things. And so we want to remember, okay, how can we take that and how can we channel it for good and for their learning? Because we want to give an opportunity and a space for our kids to talk, right? We don't want them to be little robots. School shouldn't be just sitting there and they're not talking, right? Especially not in kindergarten. Kindergarten's supposed to be fun. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. So we talked about having age-appropriate expectations, right? Checking in with ourselves and saying, okay, am I asking a little bit too much for my kids? Am I asking them they're focused for longer than is developmentally appropriate, or longer than they really can? So, and then we also want to make sure that we set those boundaries and we communicate to our kiddos. So, okay, this is the time that we listen, and then this is the time that we talk. And then we also talked about incorporating more just talking activities with your kiddos, right? You could do think, pair, share. You could do the cow, where they all pass it around and share. You could do show and tell. You can do offer more brain breaks, especially ones where they're singing, just different, even, and it can be anything. You can even just try to look up activities where it's just more engaging, more collaborating activities for that really chatty class, to really get it out and just use it, channel that chattiness to your advantage and towards your students' learning. Okay, so be sure to check out my video on how to handle interrupting students. And if you found this video helpful or useful, be sure to like and subscribe. All right, my friend, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy teaching.